The Frontline starts now.
And we welcome you to another edition of The Frontline. And if you want to turn off early, I can tell you this right now. There's no guests here, except for we do have a Lakers spotlight, thanks to Matt. But there's no guests. It's just going to be myself, Kortney, Kenny, Harrison from the Garrison, and Kassie Millen once again here to take you through the next, well, who knows, however many minutes that we talk about hockey here in the North Bay area. Welcome back to the show, Harrison. It's always good to have you. It's been like 3 weeks running now.
Yeah, this is my fourth week in a row.
Oh,
somehow.
you got it better than I do.
Yeah.
They all blend together when you get to a certain point.
What random travesty from my childhood will we talk about this time? Let's find out. But not happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. And Kassie, welcome back. You managed to escape the internship.
Yeah.
And now you're here.
Yep.
The semester's over. Your co-op's over. Yeah, let's give a bit of a round of applause to Kassie for surviving. Oh, he hit the record.
Oh, no.
And so it starts early. But welcome, Kassie. You have survived the gauntlet.
Yes, thanks for having me.
We threw it down when the co-op started. It's what you got to do, and she did it. And by do, I mean come on the show and talk about horses. But we're here for horses.
Now you're here by choice.
Yeah. Now you're not here because you have to be. What kind of sicko are you wanting to hang out with us by choice?
On a Tuesday.
It's not bad, except for when you guys bully me a little bit. But
Bully you? Never.
okay, Ben bullies.
Producer Ben catching strays.
Always.
Well, he does have the sound effects. He is the sound effects guru, so he could literally do what he did to Harrison the one week and just sound effect you off the show.
Meh.
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 Unfazed.
Yeah, just nothing.
Yeah. She stared down a kinesiology exam. She doesn't care about Ben. So let's go into that a little bit. Let's talk about your exams. I know you don't have the marks, but how are you feeling? I know we talked about this off air, but let's get this out there for everyone. How are you feeling about your exams?
I know I passed my English exam. I forget with what percentage, but
Did your teacher already tell you oh yeah, you're good?
no, I found it on Edsby.
What's Edsby? Okay, I'm old. What's Edsby?
Yeah.
It's like their new platform they kind of use to show you your marks, your classes, oh my god, ungraded assignments and stuff. So I found out from there, but kinesiology, she hasn't marked it yet, but I think I did pretty well.
That's good because that was the one you were afraid of.
I stayed up late and studied that night.
Good.
Just the one night?
Yeah.
I was the type of person though, I was that way in high school where okay, we had 5 or 4 exams or whatever throughout the week. I would only pay attention to the next subject after I finished one. I went by exam kind of thing. I'd be like, oh, English is first, then science. So I would only focus on English. And then when that one was done, okay, now I'm only focusing on science. And then when that one's done, okay, now it's math or whatever. And then we would finish the exams and then go over to my buddy Al's house and just play Halo for the rest of the day.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it was kind of just...
Roadhouse.
It was kind of just whatever subject I felt weakest in.
Yeah.
And then there was always one I'd choose, just what one can I kind of coast on?
Yeah.
Most of the time that was English. I had English pretty down pat. But if it was science, it was okay. I had a biology exam in grade 10 and skin to my teeth. It was very close. I was not good at science.
But you made it through?
Yeah, I never failed a class. I came really close in college.
You're the only one out of the 3 of us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Congrats.
Yay! No, college was close. I had a 56 on something, and the 50 was the pass. But it was just one of those that you had to take online. I was in a film program, and they made me take just one random online course.
Yeah, no, that's mandatory.
Yeah,
that's mandatory for whatever reason.
Makes no sense. I'm in film school my first year, and I have to take Greek mythology, which was fine.
Roadhouse.
Thanks, Ben.
Anyway.
Roadhouse.
Oh.
That's so loud. That's so loud.
All the sound effects are just his entire sound effect board is just going to be Frontline related at this point.
Gonna wake up in a cold sweat, just Roadhouse. Terrible. What's wrong? He's in our walls.
I already know what the name of this episode is.
Oh no.
He's in the walls. One of the so I've gone into a few exams like at 50 where I'm like, okay, we gotta pull up our socks here, and somehow made it through. But yeah, no, I weirdly enough, teacher who said I should never write ever again after this. I write, but I failed English in grade 11. Fun fact.
That's fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, it worked out because it was first semester.
Oh, okay.
And I had a scheduled spare second semester that happened to have an English class during it, so I didn't have to do summer school or anything.
Mulligan.
Yeah. Did you have to do summer school?
No.
Okay,
never.
good. Let's keep it that way.
You still have a semester. It's never too late. Believe
I
in
hope
yourself.
not. I need
It's
to
not too
graduate.
late. It's never too late. And when I hear you say,
Hey, take it back.
3 Days Grace all over here. They're from kind of your neck of the woods ish.
Yeah,
They're closer to Peterborough.
They're closer to Peterborough, but hey, when you're in the middle of nowhere, Peterborough, like an hour and a half away, is close.
Yeah.
Like when you have to drive an hour into town for groceries, that's close. So I would consider them kind of close. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, no, I went in speaking in college, which we've talked about college days quite a bit here because Ben and I took college together, or we're in college together. We didn't take college together. We took radio broadcasting together. And we had a online course second year or first year, second semester. And I forgot to submit whatever online course I wanted. So I got like some like weird like religious wars one, but it ended up being like really cool. And then for whatever reason, I had to write an essay on a movie. She had a list of movies that we had to watch and like review. And the only one in the list I knew was Beowulf, but I'd never seen Beowulf. So I just remember sitting there and then one of my classmates messaged me being like, hey, have you done the essay? And I was like, no, it's not due till like next week. He's like, no, it's due at midnight tonight. It was like 6:00 at night. And I was like, oh damn. So I know what I'm doing with the rest of my night. So I just went onto Wikipedia, read the plot synopsis of Beowulf, wrote my essay, and then at the end, because I knew it wasn't like critically well received, I was just like, at the end the movie was just okay. I didn't think it was anything mind blowing or anything. And then I got like a 98 on it. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. Roadhouse.
Did you have to watch Roadhouse?
No, didn't have to watch Roadhouse.
Well,
Sorry.
you watched the new Roadhouse.
Potentially. How could you not?
Who do you think you are?
Yeah, that's right, Harrison. Who do you think you are? You're talking to
I don't know
Roadhouse.
anymore. I'm scared. Where am I?
That's a good question. Yeah, no, and then we had to take like a documentary class in second year. We had to like watch. I'm getting. Oh, yeah. He's like giving me a look. I'm like, what? Yeah, it was like we had to watch like it was like some film class. But we had to watch a documentary like every Friday in the class.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah, it was okay.
It's kind of just like watch something. I assume write like 3 things about it. And
Yeah, but it was like
good.
At the time I was like, what does this have to do with radio? But now that I'm like, I've been in radio, I'm like, oh, this makes a lot of sense because of storytelling, right? So, and news and stuff. But
Speaking of news, should we get into the games?
nah, let's keep talking about Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
Anyways, no, we'll throw to a quick break here first, and then we'll talk some games. But after we hear from Matt in the Lakers Spotlight on the other side of this.
Average Joe's Eatery and Patio Bar is North Bay's only year-round lakefront restaurant. On the shores of beautiful Trout Lake, we have been serving delicious food and stunning views since 1999. Indulge in one of our delicious menu items, or simply sit with a cocktail in hand and watch the beauty of Trout Lake before your eyes. Check us out online at averagejoes.net or visit us in person at 3501 Trout Lake Road, North Bay.
Hey there, I'm Mike the Financial Advisor. When you strip it down to its core and you take away all the industry jargon, I help people solve financial concerns. So if you're concerned that you'll never save enough to retire comfortably, or that your kid is going to graduate post-secondary $40,000 in debt, or maybe even that life is going to take a really unfortunate sideways turn and somebody is going to have to open a GoFundMe page for you and your family, I can help you prevent all of those things from happening. If you want to see how, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Just do a search for Mike the Financial Advisor. You should find me.
You rely on your vehicle to take you to the places that matter most to you. So bring your vehicle to the team you can rely on to keep it running at its best. Dave's Automotive Services. Whether you're getting your car or truck ready for the season with a tire change, making sure you're safe on the road with an inspection and certification, or doing your due diligence to keep your vehicle in tip-top shape with regular maintenance, Dave's Automotive Services has you covered. Expert troubleshooting, quality repairs, and time-efficient labor are the 3 stars of service you can expect when you bring your car or truck to Dave's Automotive Services at 411 Airport Road. Call 705-478-5544 and book your appointment today.
Matthew Seagram with you here for this edition of your Nipissing Lakers Spotlight on the Frontline podcast. Happy to be joined by Shaylin Francis and Paige Owen with the Nipissing Lakers women's volleyball team. Shaylin, Paige, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having us.
So Shaylin is a senior on the team, an outside hitter from Binbrook, Ontario. If I got that right, community in the
Binbrook, Ontario.
community in the southern part of Hamilton, but you have a family connection to North Bay.
I do, yeah. So my mom is originally from North Bay, so I have like a bunch of family up here, and I even have a cottage on Trout Lake on 4 Mile Bay. So I've basically been coming here my whole life. So it's just a nice home away from home for me.
And was that a part of what sold you on playing for Nipissing?
It's definitely like one of the reasons that like I considered it. Obviously like being from so Binbrook is like I say Hamilton, but Binbrook as well. Hamilton, I was very like McMaster driven, and then as soon as I found out like Nipissing and how beautiful it was up here and stuff like that, and then obviously knowing that it was in like my home away from home with my mom, it definitely sold it, because then it was also I had a lot of support system up here with my family, so it was an easy transition as well. So it was nice to be able to pick it up here.
Yeah, we know, or we do see the transition can be difficult for our students that are from Southern Ontario coming up here. It is a bit of a culture shock, more of a weather shock, more than anything else, right? But no, that it's definitely great to have that support system. Paige, you're a sophomore, also an outside hitter from Cambridge, Ontario. Tell me about what went into your decision to coming to North Bay and playing for Nipissing.
Yeah, so I originally started touring kind of just around home in Guelph and Waterloo and McMaster as well. And one of the recruiters for Nipissing came to my practice. I used to actually play out of Hamilton for club volleyball. And he talked to me after practice one time, and I was kind of on the fence. I wasn't too sure. Like Nipissing kind of sounded a little scary. It was 4 hours away from home. But I did the recruiting trip, and I came up here for the weekend and kind of got to know the girls and the coaches. And no other team kind of felt like this one. The culture was something that I hadn't seen before. So that was kind of the selling point for me. And obviously the transition was hard away from home, but mom and dad still make it up to every home game and away game. So I get to see them often enough, which helps. So yeah, it was a good transition for sure.
That is dedication to make a 4-hour drive every weekend for sure. Tell me a little bit about like you said, the program and the culture itself, but tell me a little bit about what Coach Mark LaRochelle kind of talked to you about before coming to Nipissing, and why was something that what you were hearing from him might have been better than what you were hearing from other universities, if you want to start with that, Shaylin.
Yeah. So I talked to a lot of coaches before Coach Mark actually, and it was kind of trying to find the right program and the right fit for me for the team. And I'm actually in the phys ed program here at Nipissing in concurrent education. So that was a big thing that I talked to Mark about, being able to kind of get me administrated into that program. But yeah, culture is a huge thing for me. It's not necessarily like the quality of the team. Like I knew that there was tons of options for that, but it was really the culture that he was pushing. And that's something that's super important to me. I spend almost every day with these girls, these 18 girls on the team. So knowing that I was going to find a comfort space with these girls and kind of be able to get to know them and want to be with them all the time was something that he really pushed. And then I got to know the assistant coaches, Kurt and Pat as well. So that was also a really cool opportunity because they also used to play on the men's team here at NIP. So kind of hearing their insight, working at NIP already and kind of working with the volleyball teams was something that really helped me come here as well.
That's excellent. And for yourself, Shaylin, what were you hearing 5 or maybe 6 years ago at this point now? Before coming up to
years ago, yeah. No, yeah. So definitely back then, like I even think like over the course of like my 6 years of being here, that we've really prided ourselves on like creating a culture to be proud of and stuff like that. And even when I came in, like there was a lot of great pieces and a lot of like foundation that was built and stuff like that. And I think like being an older girl like the past couple of years as well, like I think we really got to hone in on it and like making sure that girls coming in felt welcome and felt that we were a family first, and then we were teammates, and then we were a team after that. And when it comes to volleyball and skill wise, so like I think it's definitely evolved since I first transitioned. But even when I came at the beginning, I remember coming to like my recruiting session and being part of the video session. And it was so funny because at the time, all the girls were blonde on the team at the time. So I came in with my dark hair. And right away, I knew it was a good fit, and the girls were great because I walked in, and the first thing one of the girls said to me was, "Well, that's a new hair color for us." And it was just like a joking matter. They didn't even know my name yet, and like they were just so open and like willing to joke around with us. So it was great, and I think that just as the years have gone on, like a bunch of the older girls in the team has just like really captivated what it means to be a team and like our culture. And I think it's really something we pride ourselves on. So I think like that's always a selling point when people come to our team and come to our recruiting meetings and stuff like that. So,
well, and speaking of having pride with your team, you are a multi-time Lakers Pride Award winner, right? Tell me about winning that award, even one as recently as just this past year, but you've won that award a couple of years ago as well, right?
Yes, I did. So I think it started because my second year was like our first COVID year. So that was our first online athletic banquet. So I think that was the first year I won it. And then I've won it, was it 3 years, I think, in a row now. And I think like first aside too, like awards are great and all, but like I don't do it for that. And being a captain and being like a role model for the girls in the team is like my biggest thing for me. And that's where like my pride comes into it. So like from a young age, like my dad taught me what it means to be a leader. And like that means being somebody that someone's willing to follow. And like, but it starts with the fact that I care about others before I care about myself. And like I've put myself on like so many different committees, and have I put myself thin? Absolutely. But I enjoy doing what I do and showing them like what it means to be a leader and what pride means for our school, because pride is like everything for the Lakers, right? So yeah, definitely awesome to get recognized for it, but it's definitely more something to give to others, and that's what pride means. So maybe that's why it's worked out the past couple of years.
That's awesome. Always great for sure to get those recognitions. And Paige yourself, you were co-recipient of the Rookie of the Year award last year, along with Oceana Raymond Ledoux, who I did a feature with her actually this past summer, just after the award ceremony. So tell me a little bit about being a co-recipient, being recognized as one of two of the best rookies on the team. It's no small feat at the university level.
Yeah, so I came in last year kind of not knowing what to expect. Obviously, university is a big step up from club, and it's not common to kind of get that opportunity in your rookie year. So knowing that I was kind of going to start and had the opportunity, I knew I had to kind of jump on it and get a head start there. So OC was one of my close friends last year as well. So she was actually here a year before me, but she didn't play just because of health issues and stuff. So she started her first year with me. So we kind of went through that journey together, which was really nice to have someone by my side. We both play the same position, so it was kind of nice to bounce off of each other and support each other there. But yeah, like the season started, I was super nervous. Like it was really hard to kind of get used to it, and bigger crowds, like there was more things on the line. But as I kind of started to get more comfortable and started kind of playing my game, I kind of just, as the season went on, just did my thing, and felt really good. Like obviously there was ups and downs, as there will be with sport, but in the end, yeah, like I was really happy with my rookie season. Having the opportunity and kind of taking on it was really nice to have.
How quickly did you notice the difference in the level of competition? Because like you said, going from playing at a high school level and a club level, and actually, you know, before you get to university, you're usually the oldest out of that group, and now you go to university and now you're the youngest playing against women that are, you know, full-grown women and have been playing this sport now for a good, you know, sometimes 4, 5, 6 years at this level.
Yep. Yeah, super intimidating for sure. It was definitely kind of hard to be that young player on the court, but for me, it really started with just practices. Like we practice every day, every night. So that was kind of the first thing that I was like, okay, this is going to be a big switch. That's not something that I was used to before, but kind of getting used to that. And then, yeah, like just the level of competition and intensity through our game is just so much different than club. And then also, we play 5-setters at university and not just 3. So even just my body trying to get through potentially 2 5-setters in 2 days was a big change for me as well. But kind of getting into habits and making sure that my body's healthy was something that was important to me to kind of make sure I was getting through those weekends through such a long season.
Yeah, I imagine it's a different level of conditioning when you are going from 3 to 5. What do you do either in the off season or just gearing up for the season to try and make sure the conditioning is at that level?
Yeah, so I didn't really know what to expect kind of the summer between club and university just because I didn't really know kind of what I was getting myself into. So for me, it was kind of a summer of kind of building muscle and just making sure that my strength was there because our season is 8 months long, and with all the practice time and all the games that we play, I was kind of just trying to focus on my strength and my conditioning as well, just be ready for practice. But I don't know if you can speak on this a little bit more because you've had more time kind of through.
Yeah, so definitely like summertime is where we do more muscle building because during the season, like Paige said, like lifting, we're more in maintenance when it comes to being in season. So like there's no I don't know if is it hypertrophy or whatever it is like the word that our trainer uses. And she said that we're more in the maintenance rather than that. So summertime is more for that. But like we do a mixture of stuff like weightlifting and conditioning stuff. So there's a lot of running involved. Which we all love so much. But yeah, there's more to it than people think. And then also at the same time, it's like making sure range of motion's there and like taking care of joints, taking care of all that kind of stuff. Especially in the off season, because when we get into season, like it's full blown, everything hurts, especially at my age. But yeah, even Paige feels it in her second year.
Yep. Yeah, it is it's a lot of game time compacted into short spurts, right? It must feel like, okay, by Wednesday you're finally starting to feel like you're over last weekend, and all of a sudden we're getting back on the bus again, or getting ready to play playing those next opponents, as is the life of a varsity athlete, right?
Absolutely.
Shaylin, you've been through a lot with this team, as you mentioned, going through COVID years as well. You've had some good years. You've been to the playoffs. Just tell me about what it's like to reflect on what must have been really kind of a crazy and unprecedented 5 years of being a student athlete, having to face things that other student athletes didn't have to face in their years before.
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely been a lot of everything over the past like 5, 6 years. And I think like the biggest thing is just like is it more like what I think is like our biggest, like my biggest moment, is what we're like saying?
Biggest moments, and just reflect on from where you started to where you've gone now, and just how you kind of what you're taking away from the whole thing.
Definitely taking away just like making sure that you absorb everything you can while you're in a varsity sport, or just like in life in general. Just like I feel like it's gone by so fast, and people always say like in my first year they're like, oh, your 4 or 5 years will go by so quick, and I never thought that in my first year. And then now I'm sitting in my 6th year going, where did the time go? So I think definitely just absorbing all the memories. And most of the time the memories you take with you aren't even the playing memories. It's like the being with the girls, and it's like the bus trips, and it's the hotel rooms, and it's just all like the team bonding stuff that we do. And definitely that's more what I reflect on, is that, rather than a game we've played one in my first year that we won in 5 or whatever it was. So just definitely taking that.
That's awesome. Let's talk about the sport itself. So let's start with the question people might be wondering: what's the role of the outside hitter? Where are you positioned on the court, and
what is the role?
What does the coach expect of you?
You go ahead. Okay, start it off.
So yeah, pretty much we're always on the court in the game, so that kind of speaks for itself. There's always something we've got to be doing. So it really starts with the pass. So it's the 2 outside hitters and the libero that will pass. And then we're swinging if we're in front row on the left side, or we're swinging in the back row if we're back row for a back row attack. And then in defense, we're kind of in charge of the whole back line,
third of the court.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know much that we don't do. Like we add assists instead if we have to, like obviously like if that happens, but
I would say like an outside hitter is more of like a jack of all trades. Like you can pretty much do everything, which is great. And it's actually like, to me, it's just always like, yeah, we say, oh, we do everything. And it's kind of like, oh my God, we do everything. But it's honestly like the best part, because like we're so in every play, other than like maybe a setter who touches the ball every like play. But it's really interesting to be part of it. And like, I think like even intellectually, like being in the back and like having to defend the whole back third of the court, we really have to be able to read a play, and even swinging and stuff like that, because most of the time we're also the outlet. So like if we can't get a middle and like say the setter can't dish it back right side, it's like we get a lot of the out of system balls, a lot of like the emergency stuff. So it's really cool to kind of be part of every aspect of volleyball, which is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. I always find it fascinating that it always seems like there's a lot of chaos going on, but the players always seem just so in control and they know where they should be, because like it's just the ball comes at you so fast, and then you're basically just reacting to where it's going and making sure it doesn't hit the floor. But it's amazing that there's systems that are built in to position players where they're supposed to be. And after the second or third hit, you're like, okay, they designed that. That was a design play. It wasn't just a reaction to the chaos. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's amazing to be part of, because you really have to be thinking all the time, which is hard sometimes, but no, it's a really awesome position to be playing. Even just volleyball as a sport in general is so awesome. A lot of people, I feel like, don't think about it too much, but I know like just thinking about like when my parents tell me how it used to be, they're like, it is so different now. They're like, we don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah, I mean, just in talking about like positioning, or because you're looking up at the ball, but then you also have to be aware of where you are on the court, where your teammates are, and then knowing whose ball it is. Like it's wild. And then again, the conditioning where it's that high tempo for 10, 15 seconds, maybe longer, depending on how long the rally goes. And then it's that cool down, and then you're back into it. It's crazy. It's like I said, it's organized chaos at its best.
Yes.
Is what it looks like.
Our motto is calm within the chaos, is usually what we say.
That's awesome. That's a great line for it. So I see there's a new professional volleyball federation, and it's one of 3 women's professional volleyball leagues that are operating in the United States. And I just want to ask, like, how exciting is it to know that there is a possibility of continuing to play at a high level in this sport after you graduate, and the possibility of doing it as a career? Because before this, volleyball, once you got to university, if you weren't part of the national program, there's opportunities to go overseas, but that was really it. And now seeing these leagues and these pro tournaments and pro leagues pop up, does that excite you as a player, knowing there are those options out there after graduation?
Yeah, definitely. Like when I was younger, it was a lot of watching like the men's professionals, right? Which was awesome. And, like it's a whole different sport, even with the guys when it comes to how they play. But just it's nice to know that like now young girls get to watch that and know like, oh my God, like, I can potentially be at that level one day. And like I have to go through each of these steps, but then there's not like a cutoff after varsity and stuff like that, or the national team and stuff. So I think it's really awesome for like the younger generation coming up and stuff like that. Even it's exciting for me at my age, but yeah, it's definitely awesome to see. So
yeah, I came into my first year last year kind of thinking that university was going to be it for me. Like after my 5 years, and I was going to kind of get started with whatever I was going to do for my career and kind of go from there. But after watching some of our seniors on the men's and women's team graduate last year and have quite a few of them go overseas to go play pro, my mind's kind of changed a little bit, like seeing the opportunities that they get to have, that it's their profession to play volleyball.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me. So yeah, like really nice to know that there's things going down in the States as well, if overseas isn't what I want to do. But yeah, like I still have 3.5 more years technically, 4 more years of school. But yeah, like I can only imagine what's going to happen in 4 years with the leagues and programs that come up as well. So super exciting and encouraging for sure.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that education side. That's always the other side of the equation when you come to university and you're a varsity athlete. Is you are earning a degree or working towards a degree. So, Shaylin, you're in psychology. Is that
So
right, or did that change? Because I know
it
I've
did
talked to a lot
change.
of athletes, and looking at the website, they're like, no, that I'm actually doing something else now. So,
Yeah, so technically I do have an undergrad in psychology. So I did my 4
okay,
years. So now I'm technically in my master's of kinesiology right now. So I'm in my
wow.
second year of that. So I should be done by August. So I've been doing that. And so yeah, I got my undergrad and all that stuff. But yeah, kin's like a super like it's different. I was always interested in the psych part of stuff because I was always interested in like how the mind works and everything. So it's nice to be looking at how the body works. So and then how they kind
Mhm.
of work together. So doing that, so I'm doing my thesis, and like I said, should be done in August. And yeah, so it's interesting.
What are you hoping to do with that once you've graduated? What was maybe the ideal career when you went into university, and what have you maybe learned about that?
Yeah, so my idea when I was younger is because I was so interested with the mind and stuff like that, that I was aiming for a psychologist potentially.
Yeah.
I think I've kind of switched from that now, like not that I wouldn't want to still do that, but I think I've switched to more of like because I now understand how they both work together, is I like more just health and wellness in general kind of thing. So like there's a bunch of things that I was thinking of potentially like at maybe a company or like if they've got a department and then I can maybe put policies in place about how we can maybe mental health or how we can make sure our bodies and our minds are working together properly and just overall wellness in general. And I love working with people and like talking to people. So I wanted to be more part of like a group of people potentially. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Or even something in athletics departments or something like that too as well would be interesting. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm aiming right now, anyways.
Right on. Lots of options for sure. Lots
Yeah.
of options out there. And for yourself, Paige, so you said you're in phys ed, so I imagine something along the lines of gym teacher or physiotherapy, something like that.
Yeah, so I'm in my undergrad is phys ed, so I'm in my second year of phys ed, and then I'm also in concurrent education, so I'll be here for Teachers College for the 2 years after. Yeah, I actually came to NIP wanting to be in biochemistry, and then about like 2 or 3 months before I came, I had a whole switch of that doesn't really sound fun. So I've always loved kids growing up, and babysitting and doing camps has kind of been my thing. So kind of when I was little and was asked what did I want to do when I was older, always was a teacher. So kind of coming back to my roots and thinking maybe that is what I want to do. I'm very content with what I'm in right now still. Yeah, so gym teacher. I think I'm gonna do that my teachable in math. So kind of having that split will be nice as well, just for more options. But yeah, so still lots of years of school, but enjoying what I'm doing for sure.
That's awesome, actually, and that is what my wife ended up doing her teachables in math and science, and she's actually athletic director at Chippewa now. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's definitely the phys ed program. Anyone that is me about it, I always say it's a great program to be in, and certainly turns out some good students. So, yeah, um, that's definitely a nice plan to have. For sure. Lastly, let's talk about, I guess, from both your standpoints now, going through this for 6 years and now 2 years. What do you suggest to people that are getting into playing volleyball at the varsity level and knowing about trying to become a student athlete at this level, because there's a lot that goes into it in terms of the training, in terms of studying. So for yourself, Shaylin, what do you tell the new students? And then for you, Paige, what maybe as sort of a newer student at this, what's the thing that maybe opened your eyes the most about, oh, this is next level?
Definitely, what I would say, even to those before they're even coming, is give yourself a routine and stuff like that, because routine is like, because we're in the gym day in and day out, get a routine down of what you like to do, figure out how your study methods work and stuff like that. Even just get in contact with coaches as quick as you can is always good. Build a good relationship with them. And then even like when our first years come in, I always say to them, just make sure that you know you're a student before you're an athlete. So make sure you're on top of things. You talk to your profs, make sure they know who you are and stuff like that. And just basically, time management is huge with us, because like we're in the gym and then we don't really have weekends off most of the time, especially this year. Bus trips and stuff like that, get your assignments done. But yeah, basically I think my biggest thing I tell people is just create good relationships with your professors and your teachers, because they're your best friends when you come here and you're an athlete. They can help you with stuff and everything like that. But try your best, and don't be too hard on yourself as well, because you're doing basically 2 jobs at once. So
yeah, no kidding. That's great advice. And Paige, what maybe opened your eyes to this? What was maybe there a moment where you went, okay, this is either harder than I expected, or this is when I kind of figured it out, how it's all going to come together?
Yeah, so I kind of got the same spiel from Shay last year when I was a rookie, kind of anticipating what I should kind of be hoping for here. I knew that it was going to be a big switch, just like strictly with lectures rather than being in class for 8 hours a day in high school. So that was kind of a big thing for me, was making sure that I was at every lecture, even though it's easy to not go to them. Obviously practicing every night and playing on the weekends is pretty exhausting. So making sure that like having a good routine and kind of having all my stuff sorted was important. But also load management, being an athlete and with school, volleyball definitely took a toll on my body last year. I have never been so injured playing volleyball in my life before. But obviously like we have support and athletic therapists here that have helped immensely, but just trying to balance schoolwork to playing to managing my body and kind of keeping it healthy, and even just the eating and cooking for myself and everything. It's just, it's a lot last year and it was kind of hard to get used to. But now that I'm in my second year, I kind of feel like I've got a routine down, and Sundays are kind of my reset days. So we usually play Friday and Saturdays. So Sundays are my day to get whatever schoolwork I need to get done for the week and kind of meal prep and figure out what I'm going to do for the week. So it's kind of nice to be in that routine. Last year was kind of up and down for me, but I've kind of settled in now.
No, it's definitely good to have a routine. And again, those are just the little things that maybe a lot of high schoolers don't realize before they get into school, right? Or get into university. It's, oh yeah, now I got to cook, do my laundry, all that kind of stuff, right? I still gotta play volleyball on the weekend. So right on. Okay, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this edition of the Nipissing Lakers Spotlight. It was a pleasure to have you, Shaylin and Paige, for the Nipissing Lakers women's volleyball team. This has been your Nipissing Lakers Spotlight, presented by the Frontline Podcast.
Meals are a special time for families to gather, share their day, and spend quality time together. Those dinners are made extra special when you add tropical produce found in the markets and grocery stores that carry La Huerta imports. La Huerta knows the importance of family, so they know which quality products make the best quality meals for your customers, whether it be Mexican Hass avocados, Brazilian figs, Ecuadorian red dragon fruit, or something just as exotic and special. To get your supply of the best tropical produce at competitive prices with brands buyers trust, contact La Huerta Imports at 705-752-1478.
Barry! Huh? I told you not to be scaring the customers.
Hey, Barry! Come on in for a bite. And bring Brianna with you.
For only 2 minutes up the hill, where you're only a stranger once.
Ready to embark on an electrifying adventure? Look no further than the Mitsubishi Outlander, available in gas or PHEV, the SUV that redefines excellence. Recently awarded the best midsize utility vehicle in Canada for 2023 by AJAC. This bold and sophisticated SUV delivers advanced performance, safety, and tech, plus peace of mind with its standard super all-wheel control and the best warranty in the business. With red-hot deals and plenty in stock, your award-winning drive starts with the Mitsubishi Outlander.
Why is Northern Honda servicing more cars of all makes and models? Let's count the ways. 1. Our state-of-the-art facility has award-winning technicians. 2. Northern Honda has the lowest tire price guarantee, no matter what you drive. 3. The lowest synthetic oil change guarantee, and every 5th oil change is free for all makes and models. Plus, new Honda buyers get brake pads for life. See the service difference at Northern Honda, 1250 Seymour beside Home Depot.
Community engagement is one of our core focuses at McDonald's. The key is finding the right people who are passionate about the same things we are, helping kids be kids. McDonald's proudly supports local organizations such as the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation, Big Brothers Big Sisters, One Kids Place, the Children's Aid Society, and Ronald McDonald House Charities. Stop by McDonald's on 1500 Fisher Street, North Bay to see how we can serve you and the community every day.
And a huge thank you to Matt Sukram and his Lakers Spotlight this week. Kortney Kenny, pleased to be joined by Harrison from the Garrison and Kassie Millen once again in studio, who we can officially, you know what, we'll still keep calling her the intern, even though we can officially take that tag off.
Until we get another one.
Yeah. There's always a replacement in the wings waiting. That's what you're going to find out about this business real quick.
Okay.
Competition is stiff.
Is it?
Not really. Yeah. Not with the Frontline. We're just, whatever.
We're more internally competitive, probably.
I know we'll see people and be like, that bastard. That's how we took Harrison.
Yeah, that's true.
That
is true.
That's literally one day we were on TikTok, which we had just made our own TikTok because we had been told TikTok's apparently the way to go, but we're all old. And so we were on TikTok, and literally Matt and I were having a conversation. We were both like, who is this bastard? Who is this Garrison guy? He's like encroaching on our turf. He's taking videos and, reviewing Battalion games. And what is he doing here? And then we were just like, wait. Why fight him when we could just go out and poach him? So then I reached out to Harrison through TikTok, and I was like, hey, would you like to come out for lunch and talk about Battalion stuff?
By this big lake.
With no cement shoes or anything, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I've been here for almost a year.
Yep. And that's how we met Harrison, because of competition. So keep an eye out.
I will.
Make people angry and you'll go far.
I'm good with competition.
Well, that's like the only time he made us angry, I guess. Credit where credit's due.
I'm sure I can think of one more, but
yeah.
I just said I'm sure I can. I don't have one loaded.
Oh, okay.
It hasn't come out yet.
You're not loaded like Ben's soundbar?
Joking.
Roadhouse.
All right. Well, again, the After Action Report does a much better job of breaking down these games for the North Bay OHL team, so we might as well break into them here real quick. 3-0 victory for the troops. Liam Arnsby and Sandis Philmanis with 2 goals. Dom DeVincentis with a shutout. His first of the season, first since last March. Harrison, quickly, I know you were on the After Action Report. Your thoughts on that game?
A masterclass in goaltending from both sides. Ivan Kovic looked incredible. Dom getting his first shutout of the year. And first Battalion goalie to get a shutout this year. Over the stretch after the Christmas break, Dom's been just absolutely unstoppable. The offense looks as good as ever, and just an all-around really good game against a very strong Steelheads team.
Were you working the tank that day?
I was.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was there all game.
What did you think of that one?
I thought it was actually really good because finally we didn't let in 3 goals.
Well, it's been a little bit less of it's been more of a, I guess, less of an anomaly since is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, they've done a better job defensively since the trade deadline, but yeah, to not allow a goal is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It is impressive.
I agree with you. 100%. Moving on to the next game, the OHL team out of North Bay headed down to Brantford, take on the Bulldogs, which they took down the, at the time, Eastern Conference leading Brantford Bulldogs 6-4. We'll spend a little bit more time on this one because there's no after-action report. Anthony Romani picking up his 40th in this one as well. So Justin Ertl getting his 17th. Bryce Cook getting his 9th. It's 2-0 Battalion quickly. And then you think, oh, okay, well, we can probably coast to intermission here. No, you can't because they had about 8 minutes left. Well, 6 minutes after the Cook goal, Lawson Shirk gets his 8th to cut into the lead, followed by Calvin Crombie with his 12th, and it's tied with 50 seconds left on the clock. How many times have we seen the Battalion squander a lead before the end of a period this season, Harrison?
I only have so many fingers, Kortney. It's been quite a few. That has been a weak point. They'll get off to a really strong start, and then I won't even say it's necessarily due to lax play. It's just a little less urgency offensively, maintaining that neutral zone time, which when they have it, they look incredible, but as the periods go on, they tend to sort of ease up on that part of their game a little bit, and it ends up costing them sometimes.
Well, the Battalion put the pedal to the metal in the second period a little bit. Romani getting his 39th, surprise, surprise, assisted by Dallin Wakely. Sandis, Thomandis, Vilmanis. I only make the joke because, like, gee, who's assisting on those guys' goal? That trio is deadly, absolutely deadly, of Wakely, Romani, and Van Steensel. Sandis, Thomandis, Vilmanis with his 17th, assisted by Cook in procession. It's now 2-0 4-2 for the Battalion before the midway point of the second period. And then guess what? Zachary Lavoie gets his 19th, and that was, a few moments later, about 6 minutes later. Then Ben Buhold getting his 11th with 17th on the 17:34 mark of the second period, and we're back to 4-4. So another period lead in which the Battalion had a 2-goal lead in the period, and they gave up that lead.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that you need to tighten up, especially going down this final stretch of give or take 20 games. You want to plug all the holes that you got because every team that's in the playoffs is going to be able to take advantage of that. You can't have any gaps in your game, and if so, you have to be able to adapt to it quickly, and in this game, it seemed to be something that they had to keep fighting back from, and that trend would continue into the next game too.
Well, before we get to the next game, Romani got his 40th of the season here to put them back up, assisted by Van Steensel and Wakely 5.5 minutes into the third. And then 59 seconds left in the game, Owen Van Steensel assisted by Liam Arnsby, an empty netter, the empty net king. Owen Van Steensel has never heard of Patrick Stefan, that's for sure. He's always converting on his empty net goals. You know what's another one that doesn't get talked about as much, speaking of empty net misses? Probably because this one didn't result in a goal going the other way. It's the Mike Ribeiro one against the Leafs where he tries to roof it.
Oh, yeah.
He just goes right over the net and into the netting. It's just and even the Predators thought that he had scored, so they have the goal horn going off. It's such an obvious yeah, exactly. Go Nashville. But it's just such a wild thing that you just you have a gift and you just no.
What if I didn't?
Have you ever missed an empty net, Kassie, when you're out there?
No.
No?
No.
Have you scored on an empty net?
No. There hasn't been an empty net.
They don't pull goalies in your league?
Not really.
What?
Yeah.
I need to come out and watch a game. This league is wild.
No
Watch
pull
me
goalies.
get another penalty while you're there.
Oh, Kassie went from 9 penalty minutes to 11.
What happened? How did you get 3 minutes?
Yeah,
oh, wait, no, that's 2. That's 2. Anyway, I'm bad at math.
I got it for roughing.
I thought numbers were your thing.
Nope.
Roadhouse. Anyway. Roughing. So what'd you do?
So this girl was kind of chirping at
this story is so good.
a mom on the bench, on our bench, and she was just saying
So do you, wait, hold up. Do you guys have is your assistant coach or your coach and assistant coaches parents of one of the players?
Yeah.
Okay.
They kind of are.
So that makes more sense. It was why a mom would be on the bench.
So she was chirping at him and saying bad words, and we're okay, that's just not right. Play the game, be respectful.
Yeah.
So I literally looked up at my coach and I'm I'm sorry, coach, but I'm getting a penalty. And I went out and I got the puck away from her and I said something. I kind of forget what I said. And then she pushed me.
That's exactly what you said, right, Roadhouse?
We exchanged some words and we went to the penalty box and I told her to shut her big mouth and that was it.
I love it.
We got 2 minutes for penalties.
I love it. Where were you this weekend, hockey-wise?
I was in North Bay.
Oh, that was here?
Yeah, we played Sudbury on Saturday for 2 games and then Puckhounds on Sunday for 2 games.
Was that Sudbury or the Puckhounds that you played in that game?
The Puckhounds.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like Sudbury. I get even more behind you, but it's not as big a rivalry, I guess.
No, they're actually, they're more respectful when playing, actually.
Who, Sudbury?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people from Sudbury, and respectful is not something I would put in. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Topanga, don't kill me. Anyways.
No, but the one girl was just rude, and every time we get a goal, it'd be like lucky shot, and I was just like, you know what?
Lucky shot. I love that.
I'm done. I'm going out there. I'm getting a penalty. I'm shutting them up.
Yeah, you should have used that. You should have used that. No, not the sound effect. Just say it to them. Who do you think you are? I am. And then she'd be like, "There's a stupid thing to say," and he was like, "Well, you're a stupid thing to say."
No, you.
Now, if you start saying that, that's a little. You might need to go to the hospital right away.
I'll just take the penalties.
Nah. Go out there with "Who do you think you are? I am." Sometime. If I go to a game and I don't hear you yell that,
fired.
Yeah, you're back to an intern.
Okay. Thanks.
Been demoted back to intern. So the Battalion on the week, though, picking up 2 wins. Now they're moving on to Sunday's game, in which they take on the Ice Dogs in this revenge of the Robertson, 6-4. 2 straight wins for Charlie Robertson, kind of like 2 straight wins for Stan Butler when he started coaching the Erie Otters. So hopefully on Thursday that changes for our wonderful OHL team here in North Bay. But Owen Van Steensel with his 25th, Anthony Romani with his 41st, and that's in the first period. They took that lead to intermission. Ryan Rubrick with his 17th, Galyanov with his 4th, and Rubrick again his 18th. He's quickly becoming a Battalion killer in that second period. Now it's 3-2 Ice Dogs all of a sudden. Then Romani with his 42nd ties the game up before the intermission. Early in the third, though, Chanowski getting his 2nd, followed by Rubrick completing the hat trick. And then Van Steensel brought it back to within 1 again. To within 1, with his 26th. And then Gavin Bryant with an empty net, sealing the deal with that one with 40 seconds left on the clock. And Harrison heading into the after-action report here on Thursday.
So I caught most of this game, and the first 2 goals between that top line were just beautiful. Perfect board play. Owen Van Steensel flipped one out just far side slot to Romani, and he bats it out of the air. It was really, really nice. And their offense looked good. It's just defensively, they kept giving up rushes. Their positioning did not look as good as it needed to be. Mike wasn't on his A game. He didn't look necessarily bad, but it wasn't exactly what you're hoping out of your backup in a situation like this against this team. And Rubrick just had an incredible game. He gets his first career hat trick, and his shot's wicked. He had really good shooting position, and the Ice Dogs just come out on top on this one. The calling wasn't the greatest. I'll leave it at that.
Was it the Kermit the Frog sounding guy?
It was Kermit the Frog calling the Battalion for offside. No, it wasn't very good, much like that accent. But
the one guy, I don't know his name, but I've listened to a couple of the games down there, the TV broadcast, and he straight up sounds like Kermit the Frog. I kid you not. He'll be like, "And the Ice Dogs get the puck over the blue line, and they're into the offensive zone, and they score! Wah!" without the wah.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Actually, it was kind of funny. The announcers were the ones pointing out that the Battalion were getting called on really soft calls.
Oh, really?
It was really soft.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Exactly. I don't think Ben knew what was in that one.
No.
But it
worked out.
It fit really nicely. But yeah, it was it's not good.
Oh my god.
It was not good. But yeah, the Battalion just defensively couldn't put it together. I'm gonna freaking leave it at that.
That's fair. You don't ever really hear the home broadcasters complimenting the away team like that, so good for them.
Yeah, it was multiple times they're like that. Okay, it was really that.
Well, Dallin Wakely and Owen Van Steensel picking up 4 points in that one, so good to see as well. 4 points are always impressive when you can get them. But anyways, this begs the question now that we've heard your Kermit the Frog impression. Can either of you guys do really good impressions of anybody?
No.
Or anything? No? Can you?
No.
No?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I cannot do any voice work. I have tried, and anything I would be able to attempt bars on offensive. So, I probably shouldn't.
Well, I've been told that I have been told my Kermit the Frog one's pretty good, and I've been told the nice thing is you can do Ernie from Kermit the Frog, so you can be like, "Hey, Bert, how's it going today, Bert?"
Oh yeah, it's kind of that same register, I guess.
Same register. You can be like, "Hey, Bert, I'm going to move out now, Bert. You're going to be all alone with the Bills now, Bert." All you got to do when you're Ernie is just finish everything with Bert.
That's true.
I've also been told I do a really good gingerbread man from Shrek. Have you guys?
What?
Why are you looking at me like that?
I've never heard it.
No?
No.
Okay, so it's literally one line. Why are you staring at me? It's like pressure's on. So you know have you seen Shrek? You're like that age that I'm like, I don't know if you've seen Shrek.
I've seen Shrek.
Okay, like the first one?
I've seen all of them.
Okay, well, I haven't seen, which was the one with Rumpelstiltskin?
Ever After?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
I'm not.
I've seen the first three. So, it peaked with Shrek 2. Shrek 2 is the best.
True.
So, anyways, so it's like the scene where Lord Farquhar has him and he's like torturing him, like gingerbread man. He's like, and it's only the one line that I can get where it's like, basically he says something of like, well, do you know the Muffin Man? Well, the Muffin Man? Well, the Muffin Man! That's all I can get.
That's accurate.
Well, the Muffin Man! So one who lives on Drury Lane? Well, she's married to the Muffin Man. Well, the Muffin Man? Well, the Muffin Man! Oh, here it is. No, play.
Here we go. We're no strangers to love. No, love. No. You know the rules.
Can we just get freaking Rick rolled?
Do I? A full commitment's what I'm thinking.
All right.
Yeah.
That is not what I was expecting. I thought it was the gumdrop buttons or something. Not the gumdrop buttons.
That's Kermit Rick ass. Cool.
All right, moving on to the NOJHL, where we have something to really celebrate here on the front line. Woo. The Voodoos beat the Cubs. I am so excited about that. But we have something to talk about, NOJHL. Well, not NOJHL, but in general, I made my opinions of this be known on social media. So we'll go through the game score here a little bit. Keep in mind, last week we talked about an incident that happened in Powassan.
Yes, we did.
In the game against Sudbury. And this is the very next game. They meet again. Well, Nolan Newton gets the Cubs up on the board with his 24th because Nolan Newton is just deadly on the power play. About halfway through the first, Carson Ricci ties it up 1-1. Early in the second, because the Cubs are a very early scoring team, producer Ben, we need to scroll down a little bit. There we go. Ethan Lerma with his fourth, putting the Cubs up 2-1. Then the third period, it's all Voodoos, which we got to live this game out in real time, Harrison, because it was during the after-action report. Zach Turner with his 11th, followed by Wraith Smith, his 22nd. Wraith Smith, what a player he's been this year, too. Cameron Lemke with his 16th. Reese Smetham. Do you have anything that you want to say about the game before I go into what I was about to say?
Heck yeah. And I know where you're going, so I'm just going to let you roll.
All right. We have to get down to business. I've been doing this a little bit too much here lately on the podcast, but we're going to do this anyways. So, last week, people were upset about a certain hit against the Sudbury Cubs player in Powassan. So I understand that, Caden Dubrow is going to be a bit of a target in this game. I get that, especially after that hit. All right, you're down 3 goals. There's less than a minute left in the game, or a few moments.
Yeah, it was 1:42.
Yeah, so not too much left in the game. And you take 3 players, including one of the guys who was hit previously, which I get he's looking to, I understand. I understand the intent. Mm-hmm. This, to me, is akin to throwing at Jose Bautista in his last possible at bat against you the next season after the bat flip Texas Rangers, and then Rougned Odor punching him anyways, I still hate Rougned Odor. He's an idiot. You waited until the game's almost done, and it took 3 of you guys to hit Caden Dubrow.
And he stayed up.
Yeah.
Like, kind of.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, you're getting hit by 3 guys. What the heck is that?
Gutless. Absolutely gutless.
No reason. It's pure malice, and it's not a hockey play.
Yeah.
It's not and it's also a no call.
Yeah. Well, it shows Hudson Martin with a checking from behind penalty, a minor in a game. Served by Cameron Shanks at the very bottom.
Okay.
However, I didn't see, if you go to the discipline page on the NOJHL, which we don't have to right now because I've looked at it since, there's no suspensions that came out of that. So we talked about no suspensions that came out of the Voodoos game. Kassie, how would you like it if somebody at the Voodoos game that we were at walked onto your bench after a hit or something and tried to come after your team?
Oh, I'd fight them.
Yeah, exactly, right? So there we go. There was no suspension in that game in Powassan. And as far as I know, there's no suspension on this one either. Like, it's just nothing?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Not that I can see.
So,
it's...
Good news is it's really ramped up the rivalry between the Voodoos and the Cubs.
Yeah, and not just like between the hit, but also the Voodoos are showing that they're still competitive.
Yeah.
Despite, the string of losses that they took against Sudbury, they bounced back after that rough game that they had in that 5-3 loss and just immediately go into Sudbury and, from the looks of things, just dominate.
Yeah, 4 straight goals in the third period. And really felt different. It really felt great, too. And then the crazy thing is the next night, the Rapids, who had been on a pointless streak of like 15 games, they finally get a point, but they still lose. But they went to a shootout against the Rapids, the Cubs, the next night.
That's crazy.
Like, you got to think that the Cubs are really rattled coming out of that game if they go to a shootout against the Rapids.
Yeah, I'm sure there was some conversation going on after that one. Who cares if you get out with a win? That's a game you should win hand over fist every single time.
Yeah, like, no disrespect to the Rapids, but when you have a team that has, 40 wins already on the season against a team with 8, why are you going to a shootout against these guys?
Yeah, there's no excuse for that. With the offensive firepower, like just everything that you have, there is no reason for that.
Yeah. So speaking of those Rapids, had the fortune of going to that game in Noelville again, and I had after Ryan Patrick talked about it on the podcast, I had to try the chicken wrap. My God, that thing is loaded. And it's the messiest chicken wrap you'll ever eat, but it was so good. And they also have chuck wagons there that are really good too.
Man, I gotta get down.
Do you not know what a chuck wagon is?
No.
It's a wagon that you named after Chuck.
Oh.
No, it's it's a sandwich with like ham or something. I'm pretty sure it's ham. Anyways, or bologna or anyways, it's got like mustard and onions and cheese. And it's just really good.
Sounds interesting.
It's good. The food.
It's a big old Sammy.
I've never had.
Those photos don't look appetizing. Sorry.
I can tell you it was really good, but I've yet to eat something in French River where I was like, that wasn't good.
Yeah, that's the advantage of all these small town barns is just it's a lot of the time it's similar to home cooking.
Yeah,
like you're just getting good quality food made with a little bit of love.
Yeah, and you know what? And then the players, that's where they get their post game meal from too, and everything. So it works out. They're making hand over fist there, the canteen there, when they get to do stuff like that. So, yeah, again, just really good food. Can't knock French River food wise at all. Game wise, player wise, maybe a little bit, but because the next night, or as we mentioned on Saturday, the Voodoos winning 4-1 against the Rapids. Tucker Shields with his 10th of the season, getting the goal scoring off. Yes, Ben Sargent, Tucker Shields scored a goal. And again, I've been told, by the way, you're banned from the Sportsplex during the playoffs. That's coming from Peter Goulet. He said no Ben Sargent for the playoffs because of Tucker because of Tucker Shields. Tucker needs to get going for the playoffs is what I was told. And I said, well, we'll happily take one for the team. Abram Snyder getting his third to tie the game. And I have to say, this goal, even though it was on the opposite end of the ice for me, was just perfectly placed. It was just a snipe, right over Duracolo. Other than that, Duracolo played a heck of a game. Alex Little if you want to see these next 3 goals, go and check out our social media because Alex Little scored one right in front of me with a 6. Chase Thompson got one as well, and Zach Turner. And that was all the scoring again. It was basically a second period game, and it worked out pretty good for our wonderful camera point in the corner. And it's just a really fun arena to shoot at.
Yeah, I gotta get down there one time. It looks like a really fun place to watch a game from.
Yeah, you got the great food, and then you got the arena, and then we had the All-Star game before the game that we got to watch on the TV that they had set up there. So, not that anyone really cares about the All-Star game, but
yeah, it was kind of entertaining. I don't think we'll delve too much into that. There is one thing I want to point out about the Sudbury game that we haven't mentioned.
Okay, well, I'm done with the French River game, so go ahead.
This was Patrick Charette's second start in goal.
Yep.
And he stops 45 shots.
Yep. Absolutely dominant.
Just, I wish I could have watched this game.
Yep.
A performance like that, he's now 2 for 2 in his starts, and the guy's huge.
Yeah.
And he's moved so quickly, and man, it's good to see him integrating really well. And I really like the trust of Peter to be like, all right, show us what you can do.
Yeah.
And
against the league's best, literally.
Yep. And he shows up in spades. It's awesome to see.
We'll have to see how much who they go to this week, because this week is, as I've heard people call it around this place now, Hell Week.
Yep.
Because it's Tuesday. Well, this episode's probably coming out Thursday. Maybe if I'm ambitious, Wednesday, but probably not. Sorry, people. But anyways, Voodoos game Wednesday, after action report Thursday, Voodoos game Friday, Voodoos game Saturday, after action report Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see which goalies they go to further out of these 3 games. Also, the Voodoos only have 6 home games left, and 3 of them are this week. So,
yeah, and it's not an easy schedule coming up this week either. Tomorrow or Wednesday, they have Timmins, and then on Friday, they have Hearst, and who do they have on Saturday? Saturday, they have Iroquois Falls. So 2 out of 3. But Iroquois Falls, like, they've made things interesting with a couple of their previous games. I believe they took Hearst.
They took them in the one game.
In the one game, which another team that has around 8 wins this season.
But if you look at their points, they're only like 4 or 6 points back of a playoff spot right now.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the East for you. Yeah, the standings, producer Ben, I know we love to do this for your game. If you don't mind bringing up the standings of the NOJHL right now, that's schedule, that's statistics. There we go. We found the standings button. So 64 points. Timmins is clinched a playoff spot. Powassan is clinched a playoff spot at 54, and Hearst at 53 points is clinched a playoff spot. So 3 out of the 4 spots in the East are already spoken for. The Iroquois Falls Storm's currently sitting in 4th, and then Kirkland Lake is, I had it the other way around. Kirkland Lake is currently 5 points back of a playoff spot. So, well, I sit here and say 26 points, with her, there's a separation of 53 to 26. Yeah, but there's still a race for that final playoff spot between Kirkland Lake and Iroquois Falls. It might be like last season where it was like, who can be the best worst team?
Yeah.
At this point. But still, there is the race, and the French River's all but out of it, I would say, at this point. They're at the 43 game mark. They play 58. So there's not too many games left for them to kind of get themselves really into it when they're not 8 points out of the playoffs right now.
Yeah, they're 4 points back. 4 games back, not 4 points. 4 wins back from where Iroquois Falls is. And like, hey, it's the nose. Stranger things have happened. I wouldn't bet my house on it, but it's a close race there in the East, and the West is still just friggin' terrifying. Blind River and Greater Sudbury tied at 70 points, 35 wins, 10 losses for Blind River, and 34-9, 1-1 for Sudbury. And then the Thunderbirds at 57, Paper Kings at 54, Eagles at 51, and then Elliott Lake's just kind of chilling at 15. So, like,
the thing that's unfortunate, we've pointed this out before. The Sioux or Espanola, any of the 2 Sioux teams or Espanola, one of them is going to go home angry this year, because 51 points should get you in the playoffs where the Eagles are sitting at right now, especially when you look at the East. And a team with 26 points is going to get in the playoffs.
Yeah. And again, it's a race there too, because 57, 54, 51, that still leaves 2 playoff spots open. And even though Blind River and Sudbury technically haven't clinched, they all but have.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a shame, in my opinion, if Espanola doesn't get in.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to make for one of the most interesting series, no matter who they go up against.
I've only really seen the Eagles once this year, so I can't really say too much. But if I think one of the teams that's going to make the most noise in the playoffs against it, if we're talking about, Espanola versus Blind River, or Espanola versus Sudbury as one of the top 2 teams, and Espanola draws, well, Espanola going to draw one of them if they finish 4th or 3rd at this point, because there's no catching those 2 giants at the top. I think Espanola has the most chance to make noise.
Yeah, I said this a couple weeks ago, where I think Espanola could take Sudbury in a 7-game series. It would be close and scrappy, and there would be a lot of different variables to it, but I think that that's a very real possibility.
So right now, if we were to look at the league standings, Timmins would be behind Blind River and Greater Sudbury, or I guess we could just put it as league overall. There it is. So Timmins would be, who's first in the East, are behind Blind River and Sudbury. Then it's the Sioux Thunderbirds. Then the Voodoos, who have 54 points, are 5th in the league right now, altogether, out of a 12-team league.
Dang.
So we sit here and be like, wow, the Voodoos are having a really good season, which they are. But when you look at how stacked the West is, you're kind of like, oh, okay. Like, there's some pretty good teams here. Like, the Voodoos would be fighting right now with Espanola and the Sioux Eagles and the Thunderbirds for that, 3 and 4 in the West right now.
Yeah. And I feel like it's kind of one of those situations that we kind of talked about with the Battalion is post-trade deadline, the Voodoos have looked a lot more consistent.
Yep.
There's certainly been some gaps, especially against Sudbury, but they're starting to pull things together. This addition of Charette seems to be working out pretty well. Their 4th line's been putting in a lot of work in every games that I've seen, and they have been creating a lot of plays. It's good to see guys like Shields back. It's good to see guys like Little scoring a bit more regularly. So I think the Voodoos have something really going for them in this back half.
If you look at all the top teams past 10, Blind River 8-2, Greater Sudbury 7-2-1, Timmins 9-1, Sioux 6-4, Powassan 7-3, Espanola 6-4, Hearst 8-2. Sioux Eagles are the first one that's not a great record, 4-4, 1-1. So with the Voodoos, it's so tough to pick up points right now, especially when you have a game in hand on Timmins, but Timmins keeps winning. They're 9-1 in their past 10. They're set on a 7-game winning streak. They're the hottest team in the league right now. But it's hard for the Voodoos to really catch up in points that way, especially when Hearst is just staying with you. You're 7-3 in your past 10, and Hearst is 8-2.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting to the top of your conference if you're the Voodoos unless you go on an insane run, which is possible.
Yeah,
it's not out of the question, but it's going to be a major uphill battle to get that spot.
Well, it's tomorrow, Wednesday, will be very telling to see how things go because Timmins, of course, coming to town. And this is where the Voodoos can make up points is by beating Timmins. But that's the other thing that I talk about, which is so weird about this league, because Timmins and Hearst are in your division. So is Kirkland Lake, so is Iroquois Falls. When are the last time we've seen any of those teams in Powassan? Not since the second half started, that's for sure.
I think it was like November.
Yeah.
Like end of November.
So these are teams, and this is my gripe that I have, is these are teams that you should be seeing because they're in your division. And instead you're seeing Sudbury and you're seeing Espanola all the time and French River because you're playing the Highway 17 corridor. I mean, don't get me wrong, Espanola is much closer to Powassan than, Hearst and stuff like that. But when you have Hearst and Timmins beating up on Iroquois Falls and Kirkland Lake, and then you look at the Voodoos, who they have to play, Espanola and Sudbury are tough customers, and then you're like, okay, well, they get French River.
Yeah, it kind of evens out in that respect, but at this point, like, I don't know how you'd go about doing it, and I know this idea has been floated around a lot, just rearrange the divisions.
Yeah.
Like, Sudbury, North Bay, French River, all in the same division. That makes a lot of sense. Espanola's right outside of Sudbury, so you could throw them east or west.
Yeah.
And then those northern teams you can kind of do whatever with. The Sioux obviously would be in the same one. That's inevitable. But you could even throw
in Elliott Lake.
Yeah, you could you could kind of throw a couple of those to the same one, but at that
you
point,
could have 3 divisions in this league of 4 teams.
That's true. And
so
then
you could have the northern teams with like Hearst, Timmins, Iroquois Falls, and Kirkland Lake. So that's 4. And you have again the Voodoos, French River, Sudbury, Espanola, and then you have the 2 Sioux. Then you have Blind River and LA Lake.
that's true, and that still sounds pretty competitive within each of those divisions. But hey, there we go. We solved it. You're welcome.
We'll take checks to. We don't have a PO box yet.
We don't. Just hand them to me.
Yes,
I'll meet
give
you.
them to Harrison. Harrison will drive to Sudbury.
We will find a Denny's to make the exchange.
So that pretty much wraps up most of the stuff I want to talk about hockey. But one thing that kind of came up when we were talking off air, because we always like to get silly on this podcast now. Right, Kassie?
Yeah.
Sure.
I learned a lot about horses last week. I will be honest. That was you're smiling and you're kind of laughing. No, I'm genuine in that. That was really cool. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate the hands. The hands is really a neat thing that I learned, but it also still boggles the mind when you talk about like, I've never heard hands as a unit of measure. It's always feet, right? Obviously, or like, meters or inches, and the fact that you guys measure the jumps by meters and inches and all that stuff, but then it's like, oh, we measure this horse by hands is really weird.
I know, it is really weird.
I'm glad you agree, because if you didn't, well, we'd have a problem. No, I'm just kidding. But we were talking about SpongeBob before we came back on air during the Lakers Spotlight. So, and that led to Doodle Bob being a part of the show now, apparently. Yeah, Doodle Bob is so good.
Such a long
However, it's not my favorite episode of SpongeBob.
Oh, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, so I was very curious if you guys had a favorite episode of SpongeBob. Ooh. Harrison, I'll let you take some runway while we let Kassie think about that. Because I feel like, or unless you have it right off the top of your head, if you know.
I don't have it right off the top of my head.
Are you big into SpongeBob? Because you were laughing along pretty. You didn't know who Doodle Bob was, though, so. I mean, Doodle Bob might be.
I used to be, but like, I haven't watched it in a little bit. So I couldn't really name episodes off the top of my head.
Well, we'll come back to you for your favorite SpongeBob moment.
Okay.
I think the one I'm going to go with is, I forget the name of the episode. I really should look this up.
I don't know any of the names either.
Where they get kidnapped by the Flying Dutchman.
Oh yeah,
they
have to escape through the perfume department.
It's just the perfect mix of the things that I love about SpongeBob is it's intriguing. The comedy's really good. They're not afraid to go like a little surreal and weird with it.
Yeah.
It's just hits so many good.
Ben was ready with that. I think that's his favorite SpongeBob moment now too.
Yeah, that one always stuck out with me.
I love it when they like get out and there's like nothing left of the ship, and he's like, we'll buff out the scrouches later, Captain.
Just the pure insanity and chaos that character is, and just somehow one of the most normal characters in the Flying Dutchman, who's just like kind of a dude.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, okay, here's my car essentially just ruined. It's fine.
I love when they're in the brig and they're like really excited as to what they're gonna get, and they stop like mid excitement like halfway through the bump because he like pokes his head in and he's just like, yeah, it's not really working out, so you're gonna let us go? No, I'm just gonna eat you.
I'm just gonna eat you.
Chocolate.
That's my favorite episode of SpongeBob. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh yeah.
So I'll get into that in a sec, but I really like too when he opens up the zipper and just throws Squidward in there and he just falls forever.
The void.
Yeah. So my favorite episode is obviously the one where they sell chocolate bars.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of that episode. I can put that on at any time, any day, and I will laugh from start to finish because of that guy, and also the when they're trying to figure out how to be salesmen, and like we really got to be like nice to them and lather it on, Patrick, and then they just open up the door. He's like, yes. He's like, I love you.
I love you.
That makes me laugh every time. Or the with the bags. And then the guy keeps like selling them stuff, and then he's like, and then they pretend to be. There we go. and then he pretends to be like injured, and then he's like, "Oh, those guys are suckers."
Suckers.
Yeah, and then they take the two older ladies out for dinner at the end, and Squidward's really upset because he has this fine living, anyways, then he can't go and dine there because Patrick and SpongeBob buy out the whole restaurant. That episode to me is just perfect.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've actually sat down and watched SpongeBob. It's such a cultural thing at this point where it feels like so recent that I've seen them, but it's probably just a GIF I saw online. I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly what this is from. It's just baked into my psyche now.
All right, Cassie, the pressure's on. What's your favorite moment from SpongeBob that you can remember?
Can't really remember any.
Oh, come on.
I do like the Doodle Bob one. Since you showed it to me
20 minutes ago.
But
that episode's just so good.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't remember much.
So there's this real, and also the first movies. Actually, I haven't seen like the Camp Coral one or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the movie, but I've seen like two out of like the one with Keanu Reeves' head in like the hay bale. I've seen that one. And that movie was not made for kids.
No.
There is some like we're on a trip here right now in this
with
movie.
the dolphins in space.
Yeah.
That is some like 80s like indie psych. It's weird.
One of the funniest things was I went and saw that movie in theaters because I was like, why not go and see the SpongeBob movie? And it was like when SpongeBob comes home when he's looking for Gary, and he opens up the door, and I'm there with a couple of friends. And it was quiet. Like, you could hear a pin drop in the movie theater. And he opens up the door. He's like, Gary? And this, like, kid's just like, Gary's dead. And he's like, oh, no. Oh, this kid has seen some things already in his life. Like,
this kid gets it.
But one of the weirdest things is, not that I'm on it very often because Facebook's become only a place that I share Frontline stuff. But if I scroll even 5 minutes, I have this, like, really... Somebody's taken SpongeBob and made into this like really like surreal like dark comic where like if you look at how starfishes actually eat, it's pretty horrific. And basically Patrick takes over and starts eating everyone, and it's like it becomes this giant starfish, and there's like an army of them, and like the way these people die in Bikini Bottom is like gruesome, but it's like it comes up. I get like a panel each day, and slowly it's becoming this thing where like SpongeBob's the first one to go. Like he's just gone.
Why is it bass boosted?
I thought it was just gonna be like, "Are you goofy goofy?"
Harrison's dead.
Trying to time that one out.
The thing that was funny about that is that you hit it. I looked at you and your eyes were like the size of saucers. And you like made our ears bleed on that one.
What the hell?
You're a goofy goober. Rock.
It's just so crunchy, the audio. What the hell?
I knew what that song was before I knew I Want to Rock.
Oh, yeah.
When I figured out that was a real song, I was like, no way. Twisted Sister, let's go. If you really want to watch some great music videos that you haven't watched, go watch Twisted Sister's music videos because they're so like, especially We're Not Gonna Take It with the dad and everything. Like,
so weird. So good.
Have you seen them?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Der Geizkragen Thaddeus schnauzt sich seit Ewigkeiten bei mir durch und Sie wollen nicht die Einzelnen.
Are you just clicking random sound buttons? So yeah, but I got so off track. Anyway, so the surreal SpongeBob comic, and basically, like I said, SpongeBob's the first to go, like, and they're all like dying, and but like now Squidward's like, Squidward and Sandy are the only ones that are left. Like Plankton was like putting up a fight. He had like a mech and everything, and then he had to like sacrifice himself, and he got eaten and all this jazz. And Squidward, just when everything looked dire, Sandy fired a rocket, and then he threw Sandy up to the surface to be like, "Oh, you got to save yourself," and all this stuff. Now SpongeBob's back as like a regenerated sponge, that's like taking on like Patrick, but Patrick's like, out of it now, and he's like good again, but like there's still this giant starfish. The storyline is really loose because I don't see every single successive panel. I just see like a panel a day.
That's wild. People do some crazy stuff with SpongeBob.
They do, and it's gruesome though. Like it's like when Plankton died, I was like, oh my god, his head exploded.
What the hell?
All he wanted was ravioli. Give me the formuoli. That's all he wanted was the formula. And instead, he got his head exploded. Just because I know where it's going, because I saw a smile on his face, and he started furiously typing the keyboard.
Ravioli, give me the formula.
I don't know how those guys like record those lines without like losing it.
Oh, it's gonna take like 10 hours.
Yeah, just like this podcast takes. Okay, so in Harrison and I mean, there's like a 5-year gap between Harrison and I, but in our day, the big shows were SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, Jimmy Neutron. What would be like your like late or like early teenage years, like where you're like, oh yeah, that's the show?
Roadhouse.
Family Guy's not the answer.
It could be.
Honestly, probably. Oh gosh, SpongeBob. Ben looks like he's questioning my choice.
Anyways, so SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. Oh gosh. Fairy Godparents.
Fairly Odd Parents.
Very Odd
Jeez.
That's probably about all I can remember. I don't remember much from early teenage years.
Did you have a TV?
I did.
Did you watch Heartland?
I did watch Heartland.
You watched it. Yeah, you watched Heartland.
Was Heartland like your big thing?
It was.
Or did you get like invested and like go to school and talk to your friends about it and be like, oh my god, can you believe this happened?
No.
No?
No.
Because we used to get invested and be like, did you see the new episode of SpongeBob? No, it was more like, did you see the new episode of Dragon Ball Z? Can you believe Goku went Super Saiyan? Like,
can't wait to see what happens 20 episodes from now.
Oh, Namek's gonna explode in 5 minutes. Just kidding. That's 30 episodes from now. God, Dragon Ball Z really knew how to drag it out, like this podcast. But anyways, Harrison, what was like your thing, like out of like the golden era of TV for you?
So I grew up. I had to split family and stuff like that. Still do, and it was a weird mix of like living at my grandparents' house. So I watched like a lot of old shows growing up, like Gilligan's Island, MASH, Three's Company, stuff like that. And it was also just a mix of like standard cartoons, like SpongeBob. I didn't watch a lot of Fairly Odd Parents at the time. Just a mix of that stuff. I remember one of the earliest shows I ever watched was Happy Days.
Oh yeah.
I loved watching Happy Days. And then I remember specifically the year I lived like my kindergarten year in Simcoe before moving around a little bit. It was actually before I moved to the Kortney. I digress. And we got the Jimmy Neutron movie on,
that was a
on
big
VHS.
deal.
Oh, I was psyched. It was awesome. But yeah, I like stuff like Jimmy Neutron, SpongeBob, that sort of thing. Rescue Heroes was a show I watched growing up.
Big
Loved
feet.
Veggie Tales. Watched a lot of Veggie Tales.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were kind of the shows. There's a weird mix of Korean comedy drama and like Korean War, specifically in MASH, and then also like SpongeBob. So that kind of was a weird split for me, but I loved it.
The thing that was always weird about Jimmy Neutron to me was that like it started as like a short, and then they were like, here's a movie, and then it became a TV show.
Yeah, they were just like, oh, okay, this works.
Yeah. You know what's really low key though? So I went back a little while ago with a couple of my buddies, and we watched some of the theme song, or we listened, or I guess watched on YouTube some of the theme songs to all these old Nickelodeon shows. I guarantee you forgot how much of a banger the Danny Phantom theme song is.
Oh yeah, like it's basically like an electro riff.
Yeah,
it's freaking sick.
Yeah. Producer Ben, can you bring up the Danny? Can you bring up the Danny Phantom?
It's almost like pseudo drum and bass.
Yeah,
like it's weird.
That and the Kim Possible theme was really good too.
Oh, it's just he's a phantom.
Yo, Danny Phantom, he was just 14.
Yeah.
Built a very strange machine. Turned it on, it didn't start or something. My favorite part of that theme though was when he's like, his molecules got all rearranged. Gotta catch them all because he's Danny Phantom. All right. For our wonderful thing that we like to do on social media where we talked about fries.
Ooh.
Here's the controversial subject of the week, since we're on the topic of kid shows. Where would you rank your top 5 kid shows? We're going to go with from our era. We're going to go from our era, Harrison.
Ooh.
We're going to go Jimmy Neutron, SpongeBob. I want you to give me your 5.
Okay.
Jimmy Neutron, SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, just because. I'm just going Nickelodeon at this point. And then we'll throw in Kim Possible too.
Okay, is that 1 through 5 or just out of order? Or?
That's just out of order for me.
Okay. I think I'm going to SpongeBob's in there.
Yeah.
I watch SpongeBob all the time. Jimmy Neutron will probably be in there as well for me. And then for kid shows, I think I'm going to go with Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Oh, that's a good one. I forgot about that one.
That show was incredible. Yeah. There's one specifically that stuck out to me was Ruby Gloom, which was this really weird like kid show that was based on like sort of darker themes, Edgar Allan Poe-ish type stuff. I loved it. It was really good. And coming in the number 5 spot? I eliminated like my go-tos. Ooh, Martin Mystery.
Oh, Martin Mystery.
I really liked that show. That show was awesome, and sometimes I'll just go back and watch it. I was like, this is kind of that really good era of, I think that was Teletoon, and I think that was a Canadian show, actually.
I think you're right.
So, yeah, that's kind of my mixed up top 5.
All right, Cassie, do you have a top 5 of like shows that you watched as a kid?
Did you watch 5 shows?
I'm also really... But see, I'm also really happy to be like, oh man, at least like I grew up in an era where I didn't have a cell phone, so I watched like all these shows, which I'm sure like my parents were like, oh, you're just rotting your brain anyways, but
I gotta go SpongeBob as first.
Yeah.
Second, I'd have to go with the Transformers show.
Oh, really?
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I was very into like Transformers at the time too. So I'd go Transformers. Oh gosh. Fairly Odd Parents.
That's also a banger of a theme song.
Is it Teen
Titans?
Yeah, Teen Titans. But there was another one, like Teen Drama or something.
Oh, Total Drama Island?
Total Drama Island, yeah. That one.
You were on that like right away.
I was like, Total Drama Island, yeah.
Those were my 5.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 16 was good too. Another Canadian show.
If I'm actually gonna give a top 5 like shows in general, I'll work my way up from 5. So 5 would be Thomas the Tank Engine, because I was crazy about Thomas the Tank Engine as a kid. Now it's just so weird because it's all CGI and not like the models anymore.
They're still making Thomas?
Yeah.
Oh,
dude, that show goes on forever. I'm gonna go with Arthur number 4.
Oh,
I loved
good.
Arthur as a kid. Number 3. If we're gonna go right from the childhood, I'm gonna go SpongeBob. Number 2 will be Dragon Ball Z, and number 1 will be Reboot.
Oh, Reboot. That's for number 1 for Reboot. That's a little high, Reboot. But I get it. I get it.
So Reboot, more so because now I'm an adult and I get it, but like as a kid I still loved it because it's like, oh, these people are, look, he's a blue guy and green and it's CGI. I didn't know what CGI was at the time, but it was different. It wasn't animation, right? Like it wasn't like your typical like. So the thing about it, when I went back and watched it when I was in college, I was like, oh, all these guys are binary. Like they're all like ones and zeros and hexadecimal and megabyte, and they're inside a computer. Like it like clicked in my head where I was like, oh, this makes a lot more sense now. And the games, like if you think about it, that's really sadistic that the user just kills his computer every time he wins a game. But I mean, he doesn't know what he's doing. But the thing that's wild about it was my buddy Travis and I, we went to Fan Expo the summer before we went to college, and we were just wandering around. There's usually like the big celebrities, right? Like they have the one area and you can go get autographs. But we were like in the artist area that like nobody really goes to because it's like not famous people. Like, it's just people doing their own art. And we were just walking through because we were trying to take it all in. And you remember like the pirate dude from Reboot, like the little binary guy who like wore the pirate hat? Okay, so they just had like this model of him, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And so we started talking to the guy. He's like, yeah, I created Reboot.
What?
And we're like, what? He's like, yeah, my name's Gavin Blair. And he's like, here's all my concept art and everything from the show. And so like I have a picture with him. We literally accidentally met the creator of Reboot.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's that's my little fan expo story that I have. There's another one though, actually. When I went down one time, Ben was with me at this point, and I don't remember, like we had a bunch of people, but we were waiting for somebody in line. But I was by myself for whatever reason, but we were waiting for someone in line to get like autographs or something. And this guy walks by, and I'm just like in where would be somebody else's waiting line, but it's just wide open, so it's just me. And this guy walks by, and he's got a bunch of cops around him. I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, oh, that's strange. But you're also in a place with a lot of cosplay and stuff, so you're kind of like, well, whatever. And I looked and I said, that's a really good Hulk Hogan. He's like, from me to you away. I'm like, that's a really good Hulk Hogan cosplay in my head. It never registered. He just walks up to the Hulk Hogan stand. He just sits down. He's Hulk Hogan. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like, I'm straight up an idiot. Like, and he could have just looked at me and be like, hey, brother,
let me help you out of this car, brother.
Yeah, you Hulkamaniacs. Oh, yeah.
That story is crazy.
Yeah, that is a crazy story. But then the other one was we met Tom Felton, who plays Draco Malfoy. And we went up, and Ben had to get an autograph for a girl that we worked with at the movie theater, whose name is, ironically, Jen. So it works because it's Ben. Anyway, so he goes up to Tom Felton, and he's like, hey, can you sign this for my friend Jen? He's like, all right, sure. It's not for you kind of thing. He's like, no, it's for my friend Jen. And then he's all right, Jen. Like, with the emphasis on the quotations. Like, and he signed it to Jen and all this stuff. I have a signed picture of him. And then we also went and got her. Eh? He shook my hand. And he shook your hand. He only signed my picture. Jeez. Anyways, we went and got our picture taken with Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
And we both bought Lando Calrissian shirts. It was like the coolest, or Galaxy Swagger or something is what it said. And we went and got our picture with him. So that was pretty awesome. But it was a really weird experience because like you walk in, and they're like, oh, here he is sitting here. Okay, take the picture. And then you're out.
Yeah.
You don't really get time to talk to these people, which is fair. They got a long day ahead of them. Like, I get it. But it was just like, it's still really cool that we have a picture with Billy D. Williams. So
yeah, was that all like in the same trip or
this? Yeah, the Tom Felton and Billy D. I've been to the Fan Expo like 3 times.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, man, getting that many interactions at one con is like hard to do.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. So I've been to Anime North once, and it wasn't that good. I didn't really care for it because I'm more of a Star Wars, Lord of the Rings kind of guy, and I just went because my other friends wanted to go to Anime North. But that one was also kind of sucked too because it's like at the North Metro Center or something. Anyway, so you're not in downtown Toronto, but like Fan Expo's right downtown, like the Metro Center right next to the Rogers Center. And the first time I went was just Travis and I, and it was good because he wanted to get he wanted to get something with Lou Ferrigno for his mom. And I have a picture of him and Lou Ferrigno shaking hands, and Lou posed for the photo and everything. And Travis is like a big guy, and Lou dwarfed him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's huge.
Yeah, well, he was the Hulk essentially without...
Yeah, literally like the Hulk without he was CGI.
Just, I'm a big guy.
Yeah. And he still voices the Hulk to this day.
That's true. And he's also in the Ed Norton Hulk movie briefly.
Yes.
As a security guard, I think.
Yeah, and he's in the Eric Bana one too as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
Everyone forgets the Eric Bana one happened.
It's probably for the best, though.
The green that he had, the color of green that he has in that is like way too bright. It's like Espinola Paper King's bright. So
hey, bringing it back around.
Cassie's favorite jersey.
Ugh, not my favorite jersey.
Are you sure?
Yes, positive.
Oh, Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Well, surprise behind this
curtain. I just brought you a nice cap.
That's true. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Cassie. Yeah, I'm surprised behind the curtain. There's an Espinola Paper King jersey right for you.
No. There's nothing.
No,
there's disappointment.
Just like the Espinola Paper Kings. No, I'm taking shots where I can. But yeah, no, that was pretty neat meeting. I think the Tom Felton. Oh, and then the other one that's cool is we met the voice actor, like the English voice actor of Goku 2 years in a row. Like, And like Goku was like he's number 2 on my list, Dragon Ball Z. So Goku was very formative, and it was like Ben, Travis, and I would go up and get a picture with him every time. But each time he'd like pick out something of like the tech thing or something. So like Ben had like this watch, and he's like, "Oh, that's a really cool watch." I talked to Ben about this watch, and then the next time it was like Travis's phone. He's like, "Oh, that's a really cool phone," and like all this stuff. And then we posed doing like a Kamehameha with him and all this stuff. And Travis wanted to get him to do his voicemail though, and he's like, "Sorry, man, my voice is literally owned by Funimation. Like,
that's true. Yeah,
like I can't do that for you." So. But he was really cool, and like there was nobody in his line, so we just like walked up to him. He's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, guys?"
There's nobody in the line.
Well, I guess we just got there at the right time. There wasn't many people, anyways, in his line because most of the people are there. Weirdly enough, at this con that is for everything, most of the people are there for, like legit actors and all this stuff, and not many people are there for the voice actors, which is weird.
I feel like that's probably changed in the past, like few years, where voice acting has gotten like a lot more recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Half the time it's just Troy Baker anyway. So it's kind of easy to recognize, but
that's the thing that blows me away is that. So I've recently been playing through the Arkham games with Topanga. Like she's been watching because she doesn't play games, but she's enjoying the story. And I was playing Arkham Origins at the time, and Troy Baker voices the Joker in Arkham Origins, which no one can hold a candle to Mark Hamill's Joker when it comes to voice acting. Obviously, live action is Heath Ledger all the way, but that around that time the Indiana Jones trailer dropped for the game, and I said to her, I was like, "Can you believe that the guy who voices Indiana Jones is the guy who voices the Joker?" She's like, "No way." I'm like, "Yeah, 100%. That's the same guy." Troy Baker's so versatile. Him and what's his name that does Nathan Drake? Who's the name of that voice actor?
Nolan
North. Yeah, they're both so good.
Yeah, they had a YouTube channel that was really fun for a while,
And
and then they decided to end that. But yeah, those two probably make up like 3/4 of voice acting at like the mid 2010s to now. It's ridiculous.
That's the thing that's wild about playing through these Batman games now, though, because Kevin Conroy has passed and he's still the voice of Batman in those games. Like, it's like, you'll never get him with Mark Hamill anymore. And the other thing that's weird, because I know we've talked about Star Wars, I'll wrap this up, I swear. Mark Hamill's voice, when he's like in Star Wars, sounds nothing like the Joker voice. Like, you can't believe that he got the Joker out of that, like a decade later. But but now that he's older, you can hear the Joker in his voice more than you can hear Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, and he just seems to have so much fun with it too, which really brings that's part of the Joker is just like he's kind of into it, all the wacky stuff he's doing. And I honestly think of Mark Hamill more as the Joker than I do like other roles sometimes, just because of how perfect he is.
Well, that's because they ruined him in Star Wars.
Yeah. That's what happens when you get good writing. You remember the role.
Yeah, that's why we like him in episode 4 to 6. His writing in episode 7 is impeccable, though.
It is pretty
good. He has so many outstanding lines in that movie. As he downs the drink, as you could tell, he's getting ready to gear up for another rant about episode 8. No,
here we go, round 2, sucker. No,
my favorite episode or thing about episode 8 is all the videos of Mark Hamill trying to warn people of being like, yeah, this is not good.
Yeah, just foreshadowing, just like, hey, here's a press junket. Surprise, it's a prophecy.
Yeah, and no one took his word until it was too late.
It was too late.
Anyways, with that being said, again, a huge thank you to Matt Sukram for his Lakers spotlight this week, and of course to Kassie and Harrison for having to sift through their childhood trauma. No.
Yeah, this is like a weird therapy thing for me every Tuesday now. It's just like, all right, what weird thing are we going to talk about from when I was a kid?
But it's becoming addictive and you have to come now. No.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm here and then I have to go edit. But yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it's okay. So do I. This is Hell Week. Roadhouse. Hell Week.
Roadhouse.
Thanks for coming, Kassie.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
We're no strangers to love.
All right, I'm going to talk over this. We're going to play this out.
Yeah. And so,
Alrighty, huge thank you to Matt Sukram and his Lakers spotlight this week.
Anyways. That's so good. Anyways, and again, huge thank you to Harrison and Kassie coming in. You'll see a lot of us this week, I'm sure, because Hell Week, as we just mentioned. And then that's pretty much clear sledding for the rest of the year for us, which will be nice. Come playoffs, of course, there's a lot of uncertainty with playoffs. No one knows the schedule until the week before. But again, just want to shout out all the places that you can catch us on streaming, of course, wherever you get your podcasts, and YouTube, because you want to see our ugly mugs for whatever reason. But here we are. Anyways, so with that being said, I'm Kortney Kenny, and as always, keep your eye on the front line.
The Frontline, hosted by Kortney Kenny, the official podcast of the Powassan Voodoos.